This conference will now be recorded.
Fine. So, I'll give a quick recap on yesterday's topic, like what we have discussed, and like from where to where we are about to go. That I'll give an overview. And today we are going to see what is SQL and how SQL is related to this relational database. Okay. So, first thing, we just understood about the data, right? So, data is something like a collection of raw facts and figures. It's a Google definition that we are going to have. But in general, the definition which we had yesterday is information about any object. Okay, it might be in the universe or it might be out of the universe. It doesn't matter. If there is an information, it can be a qualitative or it can be a quantitative. So that information related to that objects are nothing but a data, right? So after that we just saw two kinds of data we have, which is qualitative and the quantitative. So we came to the conclusion that qualitative is something like it is we are going to sense the things, or else we are going to define the objects which cannot be counted, which cannot be measurable. Similarly, the quantitative is something like which you can measure. Hence, right now we are using the quantitative data for the analysis. So maybe you get a question, Bhavya, what happens to the qualitative data? Like if we have a qualitative data, so can we do analysis? You can do the analysis on that, but what is the use of doing it? See, let's say you have a table with you, and you can see the color of it and you can smell it, something like that you can do, right? So but ultimately you're going to have the uncountable data with you. So what kind of conclusion you can do, what kind of analysis you can do? One thing is, either you can change the color if you don't like it, otherwise you can keep the color if you like it. Okay, and if you will maintain the same quality of the wood you have taken for the table. So this is the basic analysis you can do if you have a qualitative data. Okay, so that basic analysis is not somehow required in the real time. That is where we are going for qualitative data. Okay, so we saw the examples for that. Just shared the PPT with you in the group, you can have a look there. So yeah, after analyzing and after getting some overview, like what kind of data we are going to use for analysis, we somehow had a question that what kind of how we are going to store the data, or else where we are actually maintaining the data. Okay, so we come across some similar basic kind of questions, right? Like previously where we store the data, and nowadays where we are storing the data. See, I myself can see that previously I used to note each and everything on my book, because if I forgot, no one has yeah, no one will take a charge, make you remember, right? So maybe you will be making a note, like what are the things you need to carry or what are the things you have to be done. So today, this day in 2025, you are just opening your phone, making a reminder in your phone. So whenever the time comes, it is just popping up with a message that you have to do this work at this time. So the things get easier, right? So because of the technology and all. Similarly here also, previously it was something like you're going to store it, and you yourself has to invest some time to um, get, like where you have written, where you have where you have stored the data, something, all this stuff you need to do by yourself. Nowadays, no, you keep your data somewhere which is safe and use whenever it is required, and get the information ready in a fraction of seconds, where work got increased, time got, the if investment of time got decreased. So actually we have multiple things to do, so which means we have to segregate our time, right? So we can somehow consider database as our friend, like you can store your data and you can get the information whenever it is required, just like that. So once you know the SQL language, every time you feel like, why I can't store each and every data in the database so that I can get the data faster, you will get this kind of doubt while learning the queries. Okay, apart from that, we somehow conclude that we are going to store the data in the database these days. So yeah, these days in the sense from 1940s or 1960s, from there onwards we have a database which are hierarchical one, uh, networkal one, and object oriented, and the relational one, right? So because of some limitations, because of some disadvantages, we right now we are just following the relational model. Okay, so why we are following the relational model? Because it is somehow structured format. Okay, and that too, we have a language to fetch the data, to get the data from the table, so the work got easy. And one more thing, um, let's say I asked you to maintain the attendance of our class. Let us assume, okay? Just I asked, please maintain the attendance of our class now. Okay, what you will do? You will keep on, writing the name after that phone number, and after that at what time he joined, something like that. Or what you will do? You just simply draw a table and the names over here and the time and the number of attendees, right? So you have given two different formats. One is in the form of descriptive one and another one is in the form of table. Okay, now which is very easy for us to understand? Do you think the descriptive one or the table one?
The table.
The table, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
So that is why the relational model is also maintaining the table in the backend. It is very easy for us to understand. Okay, yeah, after that we somehow learn some acid properties of DBMS. So wherever you go, wherever you see, if you have a database, let's say right now the relational model is ruling the data, ruling the world, right? Maybe after 5 years or after 10 years, if someone comes and someone introduced a new model, that person has to follow the acid properties in its database as well. Okay, so acid properties are something, atomicity, consistency, isolation, and durability. Okay, um, yeah, yesterday I heard this question from you guys. Yeah, good question. So you want the things to be practical, right? So generally, if I say, it's somehow okay if you imagine. Okay, but it is completely fine if you see those things practically, right? So these acid properties I will try to understand, I will try to make you understand in the queries. Okay, the moment I say atomicity, whenever the situation comes, I'll pop a message, or else I'll take a moment to explain you. So this is how the atomicity works. Okay, no worries in that. Yeah, so this is what we understood in the yesterday's session. So after that, we just came to the conclusion that SQL is the language that help us to talk with the relational database, right? Now the next question is, what is SQL? But my question is, before what is SQL? Actually, why only SQL we have to communicate with the relational model? Who introduced this SQL? Who introduced this relational model? Correct? So remember one thing, like how we have English, Hindi, Telugu, similar to this SQL, Java, Python, C, C++ are also there. Okay, from our childhood onwards, we are habituated to learn languages like Telugu, Hindi, and English. We have those subjects as the subjects in the uh, you know primary standards. So moving forward, we came across the languages called C, C++, Java, Python, and all. Okay, so I can say that, like how you're learning English, like how you're learning Telugu, like how you're learning Hindi, SQL is also the similar one. So this Telugu, Hindi, English is helping us to communicate with the person, but this SQL will help us to communicate with the relational model. I'm not talking about the database. Remember, I'm telling you, talking to the database is different, talking to the relational model is different. Bhavya, why? Because see, we have different kinds of databases. So do you think MongoDB is a database? Yes. A SQL Server is a database? Yes. Oracle is a database? Yes. MySQL is a database? Yes. So Bhavya, these are all databases, no? So can I use SQL to communicate with these, what can I say, these databases? Happily go and use it. But MongoDB is also a database, but you can't use SQL. There is a concept called no SQL. Okay, why? Because the moment I say you are using SQL, make sure that your data is in the table format. If it is not in the table format, somehow you are making it into the table format, and then you are trying to query it. This this trick or logic or anything, you can take anything, or tip, anything you can take. Just keep this point in your mind. Wherever you go, this is the only formula that works. The moment if someone says SQL, make sure their data is in table format. Even though if it is not in the table format, they are going to maintain it in the table format. Okay, now, um so Bhavya, SQL is something, you call it as a language, right? So you told that you're going to communicate with only the tables. Okay, now how we actually communicate with the table? Let's say I'm talking to you, right? You guys know English, I know English. That is why we are here. Like, whatever the things I'm just talking, you are able to understand and give. Able to give the reply to me, right? Because of the medium that we have. The English is a medium that we have which connects us, right? Similarly, whatever the questions you ask to the relational model, it is going to give reply. Either reply it will give or the errors it will give. Okay, only two things, either output or the error. That's it. Okay, remember these points because I'm going to tell you practically all those things in the um, exact SQL queries. Okay, yeah, the next one we have is why SQL, right? So before what is SQL, let me tell you a story like how SQL comes into the picture. Okay, as we discussed yesterday, we have a lot of disadvantages with the networkal and hierarchical model. Because of all those disadvantages, and the nowadays the data are getting more, EF Code has realized. See, EF Code is from IBM. We know IBM, right? So he is from IBM. So what he thought, before 10 years, 10 years back, is now, when comparatively in 1990 we have somehow a limited amount of data. In 2000 the data got increased more, 10 times more. Okay, so he thought that somehow our model is, the model which was existed maybe in the networkal or maybe the hierarchical one, are getting slow. He understood the scenario and somehow came up with a new model called relational model. Okay, I'm not talking about he's the one, but with the team he worked and he came up with the model called relational one, and for that he kept some rules. Okay, so he kept some rules for the relational model. If you follow these rules, then your data is somehow faster, your data is somehow secure. You can play with the data even if you have huge volumes of data. Okay, so this is what he thought. And to query or to talk with the relational model, okay, yeah, you are storing the data, that is fine, but to talk to that relational model, we must have a language, right? He thought of introducing an English language. Okay, so previously SQL is somehow called as a SQL. SQL is nothing but structured English query language. Okay, structured, you know what is meant by structured? English, you know what is meant by English? uh, just give me 1 minute. Okay, you know, something like that, SQL. So why the name called SQL? Why now, why we have SQL means, so previously structured English query language, right? Somehow you are going to query the data in the English language from the structured data. Getting? You are going to querying means what? Do you have any queries? What does it mean? Questioning, right? Do you have any questions? So you're questioning the relational model, and you are using a language called English, and you are using an English language and querying the data which is in the form of structured. So that is why the name called SQL comes into the picture at that time. Okay, now the days are moving on, you know, the days are getting in 2025, or else in 20s or something like that, people call it as an SQL, structured query language, because anyhow you are using English, right? Somehow the SQL named it as an SQL, but both are same. SQL, both are same. So you're going to query the data, I mean structured data, by using language, which is nothing but English language. That English word got removed. That's it. No difference, nothing. Everything is same. The people who have more than 15 years of experience in the IT industry, those people will call it as an SQL, because yeah, it's completely fine. They're graduated before 15 years, and before 15 years, the SQL is somehow call it as a SQL. And now the recently graduated one are calling it as an SQL. Anything is fine. Make sure don't get any confusion if someone says SQL, if someone says SQL, both are same. Okay, now yeah, as it is same, both relational model and the SQL or else SQL, these two was introduced by EF Cord and their team. Okay, if he introduced a model, he's not, you know, just like that, he doesn't introduced into the market with the 12 rules. He introduced that relational model into the market. Those 12 rules are nothing but the one which you are seeing on the screen. Okay, maybe you can read it. Bhavya, is it necessary to remember all these 12 rules? I'll tell you I'll tell you a tip here. You are doing something in the database. Let's say you're working with the relational model, which means you're working with the structured data, which is a table format data, and you're able to query something. You're able to question the database. Now let's say you want all the records from the table and you're asking the same thing to the database. You get the output, then the chord rules got satisfied. If you're getting an error there, the somehow the rule got failed. Simple trick, very simple trick. At the same time, sometimes for some rules you will not get any kind of error, any kind of error. Bhavya, it and that time what we have to do, so those rules you need to remember. Okay, those I'll mainly concentrate on the rules which make us to confuse, like whether it is rule or not, we can break it or not. If we follow this rule, what happens? If we don't follow this rule, what is the output we are going to get? So these things I'll be concentrating out of all these 12 rules. And out of 12 rules, 12 are important, but most importantly there are few things that we need to remember. And the next one is, I mean, for each and every rule here, I have a definition with me. So I'll be posting this PPT anyhow in the group. No worries, you can go and check if required. But out of all those rules, if I take time, it will take almost 30 minutes, but it's a waste of time, I can say. So, what are all the important for us, and what we need to remember if someone says about code rules, that I'll be discussing now. Okay, so let me open the table that I showed you yesterday, right? Yeah, so this is a table. um I think this is fine. Let me explain with Excel. Okay, so let us assume this is a table. Okay, uh, now how can you say it is a table? Bhavya, how you can say that it is a table? You don't have anything. uh, Tell me this one. Yeah, let me do this. Yeah, out of these two things, which is a table and which is a box? Out of these two, hey, you know this one, you can you know
So the
this, right?
left ones could be called as a box, and the right
Box,
one can be called as
exactly.
a table because it has rows and columns.
Exactly, perfect. See, people are somehow getting confusion with this. I don't know why. If you don't have rows and columns, don't consider it as a table. Never. Even if someone says we have one thing, no, it's a box, that's it. It's not a table because we don't have rows and columns. Make sure if you have rows and columns, then only it is a table. So, as you said, now it is a table. Now, Bhavya, which is called as rows and which is called as columns? Always remember, vertical things. I mean, this is nothing but a columns. Vertical lines or vertical, what I can say, these blocks are nothing but a columns, and the horizontal ones are nothing but a rows. See, this horizontal one is nothing but a row. Now, you are somehow clear, right? So, what is rows and what is what columns? Now, here in the SQL terminology, rows are also known as tuples. Okay, you can call it tuple, anything is fine. But in general, we are calling it as a records. Okay, records. Along with the data, if you have something, we can call it as a records. If you don't have a data, then it is row, it is completely fine. But if you have a data into it, you can call it as a rows or you can call it as a records. So myself, I habituated calling records. So make sure if I say sometimes records, it is nothing but a row with the data. Row, I mean, if you have data in the row, can I call it as a row, Bhavya? Yes, you can call it. Okay, now columns are also nothing but an attributes. People are getting confused with these two words. Okay, attributes and column. If your manager comes to you and asked for the attributes of the table, don't get any confusion there. He is just asking for the columns that was there in a table. That's it. Okay, so this basic thing you need to understand. Relate. If I say table, these all the things that should come to your mind. Okay, now what are those 12 rules? Now you have table in your mind. I hope if I say record, you will get what is a record exactly mean. If I say column or an attribute, I hope you will get that picture in your mind now. Very first rule EF code has told us is database must be in a relational form. That's a basic one, no? Actually, that is true. So if you have the data, it must be in a relational form, which means in a table form. That is a basic rule. It's so simple, but still you have to remember. And the next rule he told is For one cell, only one record need to be there, which means only one value need to be there for one cell. Which means, what is meant by cell now? Cell. Can I consider this part as a cell? The one which is highlighted with the yellow one? Yes. So this particular thing is nothing but a cell, cell. Okay. For one cell, only one value need to be there. This is the second rule he told us. And the next one, let's say here you have a name column. Okay, name column. So in this column, you need to maintain only names. This is the second rule he told us: no interchange of values. Which means here you have age, let's say like this, and you have name here, which is nothing but let's say Lara. So name is Lara and the age is somehow 12. And the next one you have Mira. Okay, and the age is 13. And the next person, you cannot take 14 here and the something like this, Ram or something like this. You can't take like this. There should not be an interchange of values. If you take a column as a name, make sure in that column only names has to insert. If you have age column, make sure only age should be inserted into that column. See, these are very basic things people do mistake. Okay, they'll not, I mean, they will not notice these kind of things, and they will simply come up with the doubt that I'm not getting a perfect data. Why you will get a perfect data? You entered the wrong data, right? So this also I will try to prove in the once we are worth the queries. Okay, because see, I'll tell you why it happens. Simply they'll be inserting age in the name column, and somehow they're going to query the data. Obviously they'll not get the name, they'll get 14 as an output. That is why make sure whenever you're inserting into the table, make sure to which column your data need to be inserted. So this is the third rule he told. And the next one, um for one table, make a note this one, you must do it. Okay, for one table, only one primary key need to be there. Only one primary key. I'm making it as a pk. Okay, Bhavya, only one, why only one primary key? Can I take two primary keys? I mean, two primary keys for a table? We will see. We will see while querying, while working with the data. But remember this point: when working with the data, you must question me this one. Okay, when I'm creating a table, you must question me this one. So for one table, only one primary key. So what is meant by primary key and all, I will tell you later. This is a rule, remember. And for one table, you can have n number of foreign keys. N number of foreign keys. Remember, one primary key for one table. For the same table also, you can have n number of foreign keys. No worries in that. These are these are very important rules that he has told. And because of this primary key and foreign key, we are somehow establishing the relationship by using these keys. Yeah, we have some other concepts also in the SQL, but still, he has given a concept called primary key and foreign key. Okay, so that particular things, that particular keys help us to maintain a relationship. That is why we call it as a relational model. Somehow you're going to establish a relation between the tables, right? That is where the name called relational model comes into the picture. Okay, so these two are very important, right? Along with this one, you have very 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 very, you can keep 10 stars over there. Very important one, you should deal with the nulls. You can take null as your girlfriend or boyfriend. How irritating? The same. Sorry. Generally, my teacher told me this one. You know, null acts as very important. It is very important in the SQL. At the same time, you need to deal with the null. Why? If you query, like if you add, let's say I have 10 rupees with me and you have 0 rupees with you, which means you don't have anything with you. Okay, null, you have null with you. And we both went outside and we are just enjoying some coffee or tea with the 10 rupees. Now we need to pay, right? So total we have 10 rupees. So we paid and we came back. But in the SQL, if you have 10 rupees and if I have 0 rupees, if you query the data, I mean, if you query it, if you calculate the sum of our two money, I mean, money which we have, it is going to give us null because you can't add anything with null. If you add something with null, you're going to get null as an output. But the real time case is not that, right? That is why I'm telling you, you should deal with the nulls. Systematically, you should work with the null. Okay. Let's say um, for adding, you need to take separately. For multiplication, you need to take separately. If you want to query the data, you need to take separate operators. So those all things I'll be telling you uh, with the practical examples. You need to deal with the nulls. So what it's not, whatever the rules you remembered so far, these three rules are very important. Out of all those rules, these three are very important because of these three only your SQL is running. I'm telling you, right? Null is very important. Even if you go for interview, the very first question is how you are going to query the data if you have null. You will get n number of questions only based on null. That important the null is. At the same time, that tricky the null is. But how to deal with the null, I'll tell you with the examples. Okay, fine. So these are the basic rules that we need to remember. So most importantly, we discussed many things. Yeah, you can I mean, you can read this one. I'll share the PPT with you. You just have an idea, that's it. But whatever the rules we discussed so far, those are important because frequently we are working with those things. That is why we will get the errors mostly. So if we don't know the rule, somehow we will not understand the error. So that is why I asked you to somehow remember the only few rules, okay, that I have discussed with you. Fine. Just go through this one. So yeah, maybe you know or not, rest of our classes are somehow dependent on the SQL server. So SQL server is nothing but a database, on premise database. Okay, remember this one, on premise. Okay, so on premise database SQL server, so which was Microsoft's one. Okay, we are going to run our queries, or else we are going to learn the SQL with the SQL server. Okay. Yesterday I kept you some steps in the group. Follow those one and try to install it as soon as possible. It's not, if not today, maybe make sure tomorrow, maybe, or else day after tomorrow. Make sure it has to install. If you are facing any issue, don't feel any hesitate or something like that. Just ping me in the WhatsApp, even if it is in the group or even if it is in the personal one. Okay, make sure you have to install this one. It's completely fine if you have some other databases. If you have Oracle one, if you have some other things, it's fine. That is also fine. But what you have to do is, you need to make sure about the syntaxes. There sometimes in the SQL server the different syntax, Oracle different syntax, but the definition or the concept is same in any database. Okay, so all our queries we are going to work with this, I mean, with this SQL server, SSMS. Mostly we will call it as an SSMS. It's a studio generally. I mean, here you can see, right, Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio. So in this studio, I have chosen only a database engine. I just connected with the database engine. So the moment you open, you will get a pop-up kind of thing like this, connected to the server. Okay, so we are somehow using it as a database, right? In the studio you will be having many things. So out of those many things you are just choosing a server type as a database engine. You have analysis one, reporting one, integration, and the Azure SSIS, something like this. So we are not concentrating on all these things. Okay, we are just using a database engine, which is nothing but a database. So I'm just using, Windows authentication, which means I don't, right now I don't have anything, simply I can connect it. But in the real time, in the projects, generally in the projects, you will be having username and the password, which means here you need to select the SQL Server authentication. Okay, the moment you select this one, you will be having the credentials. You can give it here and the password they have given you, and you can simply hit on connect one. So right now I'm just using a Windows authentication. Okay, you can click on connect here. So it will be automatically connected to your database engine. So Bhavya, do you think we have a database engine in my laptop or else in our laptop? No, you don't have right now, because I asked, I told you, right? You need to install it, you need to download it. But it's very simple. Follow those steps which I have mentioned in the group. It will direct you to install all those things. Okay, if you're stuck in between, ping me. I'll help you out. Fine. So I'll just tell you I'll walk you through this one. If you want to write a query, let's say, so if you connect to the server now, you will be getting something like this. Okay, so if you want to run your queries, what you have to do is you have to click the new query one. Here you will be seeing the new query, right? So if you click on this one, you will be connecting to the, as a worksheet, you will be connected to the worksheet now. So whatever the code you want to write, you can write it here. Okay, in this space now. uh, and where you can see your tables, how you can execute your code, all those things, the code which you have written here in the worksheet, you can select that one and you can use this execute button. So myself, I'm a little lazy. i, I cannot select, I cannot select the query. I cannot go and hit the execute button. What I'll do is I'll select the query which I has to execute, and I'll simply use control E. Control E, remember. Control E is a shortcut button which help us to execute the queries. Either you can use control E or else you can use execute button. Anything is fine. The next one we have is, um, databases, right? So you need to create a database now. So here you are connected to this server. So this is your server name. Okay, desktop C2 IQ something you have, right? So this is your server. No worries. So here you'll be having databases. So I have all these databases with me. um you need to create a database like this. Bhavya, do you think, it is very difficult as to create a database? No, the name is difficult, but create statement is very simple, only 3 words. Okay, that we will be discussing practically. Okay, so here you can see the databases. Let's say my database is db_1. If you expand the databases, you will be seeing tables here, views. So if you expand the tables, you will be seeing here what are all the tables you have in your database, all those stuff. Okay, no worries. Till you habituate to this interface, I'll help you out where you have your tables, where where did you store your code. I'll help you with that one until unless you habituate to this UI. Okay, yeah, these are all. We have some other things also here, right? So while connecting, we have many things: analysis service, integration service, we have something like that stuff, right? So these all things is somehow responsible for all those services. It is a studio, right? So you need to use whatever required for the database engine or the database. That's it. So here in the databases only, you will be finding all maximum things. So you have system databases also. Somehow we are not using the system databases. So system databases, a predefined one: master, model, msdb, tempdb. These are all the system databases which was already there. Even if you install it now, even if you download and install it now, you will be finding these system databases in your laptop also. But the thing is, you can't, you will not be having all the permissions. If you create it by your own, you will be the owner and you have all the permissions. But for this one, no. TempDB and MSDB is somehow for temporary purposes, so you can't use it. Master is for just for example, if you want to query something or if you want to store something, you can use the master database, but you will not have all the permissions. You will somehow face an issue if you want to share something or if you want to create something. So that is why in the projects we generally don't use the system databases. For the testing or for the analysis purpose, you can create it, no worries. If you don't have an option to create a database here, somehow you can create a table inside the master database and you can do analysis if you want. But the good thing or the best practice is you need to create a database and you should use it further. So here you can see your databases. If you want to disconnect to the database engine, you can use this button here. And if you want to store your code, I mean, if you want to save your code, you have here something called save only this particular page, or you can save all the pages that you have opened. See, this is the new one. This is the first worksheet. This is the second worksheet. So how many new queries you want to take, that many worksheets it is going to open for you. And somehow you have a simple thing called buttons, save buttons. Either you want to save only that particular worksheet or you want to save all the worksheets. Okay, but yeah, I told you, right? Little lazy. I can't go there. I can't hit the, I can't hit this button. Simply I'll use control yes. You know that one, right? Yeah. That is the one. And the next one, where you can see your saved files, so you can simply click on open file. Just after the save button you have open file. So if you open this one, you will be getting all .sql files. Okay, so previously these are all the files that I have, that I worked on. Okay, here you can open those files. No, Bhavya, I'm not getting here as well. So where I can do, where I can get the files? Simply, click on the file. Here you will be having recent files and recent projects and solutions. Here also you can get the file. Anything is fine. Anything works. Okay, so these are also the files which I have in my DB. Okay, fine. Apart from that, what we left, yeah. So if you want to, if you want to run the queries here, you need to run those queries in the database, right? Let's say you have created a table called a, and you need to run a query on top of the table a, and the table was present in database called b, let us assume. So you need to select the database here and you need to run the query. If you don't select it, you will somehow get an error if you don't find a table. So that also I will try to show you practical example. Okay, I will try to prove each and everything. So far what I have told you, those all things I'll try to prove, no worries. So like to which database the worksheet is connected? So this is the second question I have in my mind when I'm working with this interface. So where you can see that one is either here you can see or else here also, the down one. Yellow color bar you have, right? See, connected one by one. So you have a server name here. This is also a server name, and the next one is a database, master database. And here you have a time as well. Right now it is 00. If you query a data, so how much time it has taken to get the output, so that time you will be seeing it here. And the rows, how many rows you're going to get as an output, that you are going to see here. Okay, and you have some other things, mdx, dax, all those stuff. So all those things are useful for analysis service and the integration service. If I'm not wrong, if you are aware of Power BI, there you are going to use DAX, right? So Power BI is nothing but an what? For visualization, right? And for analysis also you will be using DAX, not only for visualization but for analysis service also you will be using DAX. So we have all those services in this studio. That is why all these things was there. Okay. So sometimes you run a query and you want to know the execution plan, or else you want to know how it is working. So we have something called, execution plan and everything. If we want, I can show while executing some queries how it is going to give the output and all. Okay. So right now this is more than enough for us to understand about this UI, like where you can write and execute that. These two, if you understand these two things now, you somehow you can understand the next thing also. Just download it, try to expand all those things. Just explore what are the stuff we have in this studio. Try to habituate to this UI. Okay, no worries, no charges is applied because it is an on-premise, right? The only one thing is it may be closed. I mean, you can close it, or else maybe because of some mistakes and all, the object explorer might be missing. See, these are the things generally people usually tell me. Bhavya, when I downloaded it, I have object explorer here, but I did something, that's why it went somewhere. No worries, it will be in the studio. It seems you can get it, you can search it here also. No worries, it will be coming back. Just explore, that's it. Explore the UI, just habituate to that UI. Then the for you it will be very easy to write a queries if you are habituated to UI. Okay. So yeah, from the next class or from the coming classes, somehow we will be executing many queries, right? At that time you will be somehow seeing the screen regularly, so you will be habituated. That is also fine, no worries. And the next one, we have a database, right? Yeah, so in our definition yesterday we have given one definition for the database, right? For storage purpose we use a database, right? So I have a Google definition here. It is a place or a medium where we can store the data in a systematic and organized manner. Yeah, actually, for storage purpose only we use databases, but how you are storing is up to you. If it is in the form of table, yeah, of course you need to follow CORD rules, right? So if you follow CORD rules and if you are maintaining the data, obviously that is in a systematic and organized manner only, right? So that you need to remember about this database. Now, Bhavya, the moment you say database, what we can do with the database? Always remember, database help us to perform CRUD operations. CRUD, it's not CURD, because I used to think it's a CURD. It's CRUD operations. CRUD. Okay. So what is CRUD? See, what can be the database? You can take which database you want, that you can take. On the database, you I mean these are the basic things that you need to perform. Those basic operations are nothing but a CRUD operations. So what is mean by CRUD operations? Or else what do you mean by CRUD? See, acid properties and CRUD. These two are very important. We will be expecting an interview question in this. C creates for create, R stands for read, U stands for update, D stands for delete. That's it. If you want to create something in the database, if you want to create something, if you want to read something, if you want to update something, if you want to delete something, those all operations are nothing but a CRUD operations. So every database must follow these operations, which means the basic one. Whether you are getting the data effectively or not, it's a secondary. It's a secondary line. But the primarily you must, the database must allow the CRUD operations to perform, which means you should create something in it. It might be a table, it might be a diagram, it might be anything, it might be a view, anything. If you so you have created something and you want to read it, right? Read it means what? Retrieve. R stands for retrieving and the reading. Anything is fine. And whatever the data you have in your database, you must read it, right? That's why we have read. And once it got once the data was in the database, sometimes we may feel like we need to update some data, so that it must allow the updations as well. If unnecessary data was there, we must delete it, otherwise storage issue. So these basic operations we need to the database need to allow. That's it. Yeah, here comes the exact SQL now. So meanwhile, before entering into this one, do you have any questions so far? Let me check this box. Okay. So any questions? Okay. Let me continue then. So, overview on SQL. We have only 5 sublanguages in the SQL. If we learn those 5 sublanguages very perfectly, enough. More than enough. Okay, so those 5 sublanguages are nothing but DDL, DML, DCL, TCL, and DQL. Okay, so I'll give you separate definitions in the from the next class onwards. But for now, I'll just give you a high view on all those languages. Okay, remember this one. So the first one we are going to discuss is about DDL, Data Definition Language. So data definition language is nothing but, if you are talking about the structure of a table or else structure of a database, or definitions that was there in a database. So definitions means it's not like a meaning for a word. No, it's not like that. You're going to create a table, right? So that is nothing but a data definition language. You're going to define something in the database. Define is nothing but in creating. So if you are dealing with the objects in the database, then that is nothing but an DDL. Okay, if you are manipulating the data in the tables, then that is nothing but a DML. So manipulating means changes. If you are if you are making any changes in the table, then that is nothing but a DML, data manipulation language. And you want to control the flow of the data between the users, then that is nothing but a data control language. So you are going to control the flow of the data between the users. And if you want to control the transactions, or else if you want to control the changes that are made in on the table, or else if you want to control the changes of a data to a table, then that is nothing but a transactional control language. In SQL, transactions means insertions, updations, and deletions. Okay, all these comes under the transactions. So if you're controlling those insert, update, and delete commands, then that is nothing but an TCL. And the last one, DQL, data query language. DML, DDL, DCL, and TCL. These 4 languages, these 4 sublanguages will take 10 to 15 days of time to complete. That's it. Rest of the 20 days or rest of the 30 days purely allocated to this DQL. Purely allocated. Okay, make sure this query language is very important. Okay, so individually we are going to learn each and everything. We have some commands inside it. Okay, and from tomorrow onwards I will try to create, I will try to make everything practical. So that is why I am asking you to install the SSMS. You can meanwhile practice parallelly with me, right? So yeah, make sure today or tomorrow, the last day after tomorrow, it's okay if you have some other database. Okay, so this is just an overview. From tomorrow onwards the practical one will start, the actual SQL will start. Yeah, do you have any doubts so far, or do you want to understand anything in deeper? Yep, feel free.
Madam,
Yeah, yeah, Sujan.
actually, I don't know how to install this SSMS, what you have said.
Okay.
So, can you please help me, madam? How to install this? I don't know why, because if any chance you can install for me, madam, through any other medium.
Okay, fine. So, like for me, it's somehow difficult to spare some, that much time with you, but I can help you to guide you.
Hmm.
Like the steps which I posted in the group, now you follow that one. So wherever it, if you feel like it got stuck, you can send me the pictures of it. I'll guide you
Sure.
from there. I'll connect with you and I'll guide you from there.
Okay, madam. Okay, madam. Previously, I have tried, but it's not installing in my laptop. That's why I'm requesting you, madam.
Okay, fine, no worries. So can you tell me what is the error? Like you can ping me in the WhatsApp. What kind of error you're getting? Okay.
Madam, I will tell
Mhm.
afterwards, madam. Because in between, I can't tell,
Okay,
madam.
no worries, no worries. Fine.
Okay, madam. Thank
Uh,
you, madam.
yeah, thank you. So, any other doubts, guys? The people who have doubts can stay, and rest of the people can wind up the session. Yeah, thank you so much. Okay, guys, if no doubts, thank you, guys. Thanks for your time. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you, madam.
Yeah.